Hi, I'm Brooke Gleichowski, and I'm so excited to welcome you to Beam Boldly. As an NCAA Division I gymnast, I know firsthand what it feels like to carry the weight of performance, expectations, and identity. Here, we're going to talk about all of it. We're going to talk about mental health, performance anxiety, NIL, resilience, and of course, how faith is our foundation that carries us through all of that. Whether it's stepping onto the beam in competition or just stepping out in everyday life, we are called to live boldly, and we're called to let our light shine. The name Beam Boldly was inspired by the verse Matthew 5:16, which says, "Let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven." To me, that's what this podcast is all about. So if you're ready to hear raw conversations, find strength in faith, and be reminded that you are never walking this journey by yourself, join me as we step boldly into everyday life. Hey, you guys, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of Beam Boldly. Today, I am super excited to have Miss Carissa Clay on. Welcome, Carissa.
Hi.
I'm so excited for this conversation, and I know that God is going to lead it in the direction that He wants to lead it. But for those of you who don't know who Carissa is a gymnast at UCLA. She's currently in her 6th year. And for those of you that don't know, Carissa was a member of the 2025 Big Ten Championship team and a member of the 2025 NCAA National Runner-Up team. That is amazing. We're so excited to have you on. So I welcome you.
I'm so excited.
All right, Carissa, I would love to just jump right in and hear about how you started gymnastics.
So actually, no one in my family did gymnastics. So when I was younger, just like a lot of other kids, I was just super hyperactive. And my parents were like, oh my gosh, like, I don't know what to do with all this energy. We need to throw her in a ton of different sports. And I did gymnastics when I was younger, like in the little like preschool classes. And at the same time, I was doing dance and soccer because they literally could not put me to sleep at night. They told me I would be like bouncing off the walls and like flipping on the couch. And they're like, we need to do something about this. So let's just like put her in the gym. And I mean, I guess it worked out because they asked me when I was a kid, I had to be like maybe 7, 8 years old. I don't really know how old I was, but it was like between gymnastics and soccer, really. I was not a dance girly.
Okay.
They put me in like tap and ballet, and I didn't like it. And pretty early for like most gymnasts, you have to choose between one or the other sport if you do both for the most part, just because one or the other is going to take up most of your time. So when I was probably 8 years old, it got to that point, and my parents were like, okay, so like you can do gymnastics or you can play soccer. And I don't really know what led me to pick gymnastics because I did really like soccer from what I remember, but I guess I just liked gymnastics better. And when I was younger, like most kids, I was like, I want to go to the Olympics.
Of
And
course.
yeah, and I was like, okay, so I'll pick gymnastics, and the rest is history. Been doing it ever since, and I'm glad that it's still working out.
Yeah, that's amazing. Such a cool story and kind of normal for a gymnast, but
Yeah.
not normal to now be in your 6th year.
Yeah,
Most
no.
gymnasts don't get to do it for that long, so that is such a blessing. But I would now love to hear about the background of your faith, a little bit of your testimony, and all of that.
So I actually didn't know Jesus until like my sophomore year of college, because before that, I didn't grow up in the church. I had been to church like a few times on like special occasions like Easter, Christmas, a few Mother's Days and Father's Days if my parents wanted to go or something like that. But like just like here and there, we went to church. And all I knew growing up about God was that if you go to church, you go to heaven. And nothing else beyond that. So I was just like, okay, I went to church, cool, and I'm a good person. Heaven's on my way, like heaven's in my
Right.
future. Yeah, nothing else about what faith was, who Jesus was, besides that he died on a cross and rose from the dead. That was all the information that I knew. And when I went to college, I struggled a lot in my freshman and sophomore year with just like finding my identity because in high school, my whole life was just school and gymnastics. So going into college, I was like, okay, my whole life is school and gymnastics. That's where I'm going to find all of my validation. And finding my validation in gymnastics and school led me to find validation in the world as well, like in other people. And I was like, I need to be like this perfect person. And if I'm not perfect, then I'm not good enough. And
I relate to that so much.
exactly. Since I was trying to satisfy the world and not Jesus, I was just not fulfilled and I didn't even know who I was beyond school and gymnastics. And there was a time where, for a bit, mostly my freshman year, because I had never experienced being on a team with people that were so much better than me, because I went to this small YMCA in San Diego. Like, it was me and one other girl, and we were besties. So that
Yeah.
was it. I was the best on the team there because there was only a few of us. So my gymnastics career is obviously going pretty good until I go to college, and then I experience having to make lineups and having to keep my grades up when it didn't matter as much before. And the transition to college, as much as I loved it because I was young, it was hard for me because it was just something I had never experienced before, and I had only knew what sheltered kid me knew.
Right. That is not talked about enough. Going from your club gym to then a college gymnastics team where everyone is good.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a little bit of a culture shock for sure.
right. Because it's not like every single person comes from a gym with like 20 plus level 10s. Like, that's pretty rare.
Right. The other thing I was going to say is just that it's not talked about often enough that when you're in high school, gymnastics in schools, like literally all you think and do. It's the only thing on your plate. And when you go to college, that shifts so much. And you're like, how am I supposed to handle this now? On top of, okay, I'm not the number one best in my gym anymore,
Yeah,
coming from a small club gym. Or I'm not even just like one of the level 10s. And then there's all the, younger levels. Even if you do come from a little bit of a bigger level 10 team, there's still the younger ones that you're like, oh, I'm
yeah,
still above them. Right.
yeah. And that's how
And
it is for like 4 to 5 years of your club career. So that's like pretty much all that your life has really been. That's like half of your gymnastics career already.
right, and you go from being, like, this senior who's, like, the leader of the team, you probably have a closer relationship with your club coach, it's easier to communicate this and that, and then you switch, and all of a sudden, you're the baby of the team, you are
Right,
with brand new coaches, and you're trying to, like, understand the culture of the team, and, like, while you definitely still have those leadership skills, you're not the leader anymore. You're at the
right.
bottom again. And so that's,
It's
like,
like
super
you're
confusing.
back to being a kid, but you never knew what it was like to like be a kid because you've just always been on top.
Exactly, exactly. Okay, let's circle back and dive back into anything else that you wanted to share about your faith story or your testimony.
So in my freshman year, I'm struggling with school, gym, just like trying to find my validation in everything else. And there was one time I was with my friends on the softball team because we had gotten super close to them in the summer, and they were all super strong in their faith. Like, they had been like years along in their faith journey, and they invited me to church one time. And I had been to church in Kentucky like a few times, but every time I went, it was just like I went just because my friends went, and the message would just go like in one ear, out the other, or I would leave church being like, I don't even know what the pastor just said. And they invited me to church, and I said yes and went with them because it wasn't like I didn't like church. It was just like I didn't really know what was going on.
Mhm.
That was during a time when I was like at my very lowest, and I was like, I'm not enough. I'm never going to be enough. And life is
Yeah.
just horrible right now. And I didn't really know
Mhm.
what to do with myself. And we're at church, and the message was, you are enough. And
Fitting.
I remember sitting there being like, "Wait, this is the craziest thing." Like, I know exactly what they're talking about, and it didn't feel like the pastor was talking to me. it felt like Jesus was talking to me, and that was the first time I had ever experienced that in my life. I was like, there's a voice in my head, and it's not mine, and it's not anyone else's in this room. It's something like so much bigger than that. And I remember after church, my friends were like, "So, like, how'd you like the service?" And I just was so like in disbelief at what I just heard because I was like, that message was like exactly for me, like he's calling on me, and I don't know what to do with it because this has never happened to me before. So I literally just told him, I was like, "Yeah, like, the singing was cool."
Because inside you were like, "I have no idea how to handle what in the world
Yeah, I
I
was
just,
like,
like,
that was
felt and
like
experienced."
yeah, I was like, "That was a feeling I have never experienced before," but they dropped me back off at my apartment, and I opened up the Bible for the first time and didn't know where to start, but I was like, this is what I'm being called to do. And it's something that I had never done before. But then I even prayed for the first time and I just asked the Lord for his forgiveness and to just help me because I didn't know what to do. And it wasn't like all sunshine and rainbows since then. I definitely had very many ups and downs. But since then, I've just known how to get through it and known that he's there and he's got my back.
Yeah. It's incredible how much your life might not change, but your perspective on life changes when Jesus is in the picture of all of it, and I
Mhm.
love hearing that, like, through your story, it's so evident. One thing I think we forgot to mention in the beginning of the podcast, but we should mention, is that you started your college gymnastics career at Kentucky.
Right.
I would love to hear, you were just talking about your freshman, sophomore year. At this point, you're in Kentucky. So how was your experience as a whole at Kentucky, and how did it grow your faith?
Definitely, I'm from San Diego, first of all. So moving to Kentucky as a 17-year-old is a completely different experience. Like
Right.
no one does that. And now that I look back, I'm like, that was crazy, but I'm glad that I did it because if I went anywhere else, I just don't think that I would have ever experienced the growth that I did. And coming in, I can definitely say I was a completely different person than when I came out in the best way possible. Because I came in and I was just a kid like anybody else that's coming to college. I was like, okay, like meet new friends, socialize. I have an actual social life now because I didn't grow up in high school going to like football games or anything. Like my first football game was at Kentucky.
Oh my gosh.
Sports are like a super big culture there, and it's not like that in San Diego at all. So coming in, I was just like, just this kid excited to like try out new things. And I didn't really say no to a lot of things. I felt like if I didn't say yes, I was going to be missing out on what a true college experience was like. And I was kind of like that in my sophomore year too, because I'm again still a kid and I was also new to my faith. Like I didn't know what was right and wrong. I was just like, I know Jesus, then what? But he was definitely
Right.
still working on my heart and didn't realize it at the time. I was just like, I know Jesus, cool. It was really like in my junior year, there was still some things here and there that I struggled with that I was still trying to let go of. But I knew the Bible a little bit more, not like I was an expert or anything, but I had been reading it a little bit more and I had been praying more. So then I understood like if I had a bad day, it was for a reason. And it was just a part of not just the process of like gymnastics, just like the process of life. Like it was there to help me grow. And there's truly nothing that happens for no reason at all. And it kind of took me a bit to like understand that and everything because I was still growing in my faith. And it was really like in my senior year that I kind of like blossomed in my faith. And I actually got baptized my senior year and it was literally the best day of my life. Like I was in the water and I genuinely saw Jesus and I was like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Wow. That is the coolest thing.
That was when I decided I was like, okay, I'm going to take a further step in my faith journey and I'm going to get discipled and I'm going to find this church that I'm like loyal to and that I want to like find like my true community because I kind of like bounced around churches before, which like is good just to like find what you want, but I didn't have like a true community at all. And then my senior year, I also started going to FCA. And through having a community that helped me really grow in my faith and understand that faith is literally my whole identity, and gymnastics is such a small piece of that. And in the years prior, I was trying to find my identity in gymnastics and trying to control my life based on a sport. And my senior year, I realized it's really just a sport. Like, it's
Right.
not that deep. It's just a small piece of my story, and it feels like a big piece because God gave me this beautiful gift that I can use to be a light to others, but it's not my whole story. It's just a small piece, and it's all just temporary, and I don't have to find my validation in that. And I wish I had told myself that in my freshman year and throughout all the way to my junior year and some of my senior year as well, just because I felt like that whole time since I wasn't competing as much that I was just wasting my talent when really I wasn't. Like, you come into college being like, I'm gonna be like this star athlete when that's not even realistic.
Right.
You're there you're there, like, not even just for the sport, you're there for the community, you're there to do school and get your degree and do a ton of other things that you're called to do as well, and I wish that's something that I knew from the beginning, but glad that I learned by the end of my journey at Kentucky and coming into UCLA.
Yeah. And that's really cool because I think so many athletes relate to that. I mean, I know even for me, I was like, "Oh, I just my in my senior year of high school, I was like, "Oh, I just gotta get to college. I just gotta get to college. Like, once I get
Yeah,
to college, everything is gonna be, like, working out great. Like, I'm gonna be
that's
living my
literally
dream," which,
exactly what I thought.
of course, I literally am living my dream and more dreams. But it was a perspective of, like, I'm gonna be, like, that athlete. I'm gonna be like that, star. And you come to college and you realize that life is so much bigger than just being that star. And
Right,
while you might be that star, and guess what? Your life is so much bigger than that still. It's still so much bigger than the amount of tens you get, than the amount of lineups you make, than all of that stuff. So I love that you said that and that you would want to tell your freshman year self that because I think I would tell my freshman year self that also. But now I want to transition into the transfer portal. I haven't gotten a chance to talk with anyone about the transfer portal on Being Boldly yet, but I would love to hear how your faith was more established, I guess you would say, your senior year at Kentucky. So, how did then going into the transfer portal and that whole process, like, how did you carry your faith through that?
my whole senior year, I kind of fell out of love with the sport. And my heart was not in it any I mean, my heart was in it, I had the fire in me, but at the same time, I wasn't in love with the sport anymore like I was when I was a kid, and that was something that kinda, like, broke my heart my senior year, and that's when I was like, "I just need a whole complete different experience because I'm just not happy." And it has nothing to do with my experience at Kentucky. I love
Mhm.
my people. I loved it there and always will. I was just going through a time where I just wasn't happy and I wasn't filling my cup correctly. And
And some sort of change needed to happen.
yeah, and I realized it, like, before season even started, but I was trying to push through it, but nothing was getting better. Me and my parents had a ton of conversations because from the beginning of season, I was like, "I can't do it anymore. I wanna quit." And they were like, "You're almost at the finish line, like, why would you wanna quit? And you have so much more left in you, and we can tell you're just you're drained." Then it was like middle of season-ish where I was like, maybe I'll just enter the transfer portal at the end of season, but I didn't realize that, like, that would have been such a hard decision for me to make because I had made a life in Kentucky, and
Right.
I didn't wanna leave all my friends, and there were things that I obviously didn't like, but things that I also, like, absolutely love that I was like, "I don't wanna let go of that, and I don't see myself ever letting go of that." And for 4 years, I thought that I was gonna make a life in Lexington,
Right.
and that's the life that I wanted. I was like, "I'm gonna finish my gymnastics career here, and then this is where I'm gonna live for the rest of my life." So that just wasn't, like, in my plan to even enter the transfer portal. So after talking a lot with my family and even my other teammates who realized that I just didn't seem as happy anymore and I needed a change, they were like, "I think that entering the portal would be good for you. And even if you don't do gymnastics, you can always find something else to do. Like gymnastics isn't your whole life. So,
Right.
which is true. And I entered the portal being like, if I find something, then I find something. Or if someone finds me, then they find me. But if I don't, then that's completely okay too. And
Okay.
that's when I realized that I do love gymnastics because it got to a point in the portal where I got stressed that I wasn't going to find a home anywhere and that I wasn't going to be able to do gymnastics anymore because I was training like at home and working my butt off to get these colleges to recruit me. And during the time, it was like such a difficult time to get recruited because all the COVID years are trying to transfer for grad school.
Right.
And that just happened to be the year that I went to college. So then I'm also trying to transfer for grad school. But then there's other things going on different teams that made underclassmen want to transfer too. It just happened to be like that chaotic year. So then I'm sitting there like, I don't even have a shot because I don't have a good enough resume for these other teams. And I would reach out to coaches and get really discouraged because they would either not respond to me or they would reach back out to me saying like, hey, like we need a bars specialist or a vault specialist. I don't do vault or bars. So I was like,
Yeah.
okay. And I'm not going to do vault or bars ever. So I was like, okay, I guess like people just don't need beam and floor girlies anymore because
Yeah.
so many people can do that. So I was getting really discouraged. And the only school that had really showed any interest in me was the University of Denver. And I had never been to Denver before and got invited on a visit there and went on my visit and loved it a lot. But the area around it and the school and everything was really similar to what my experience at Kentucky was. And I knew I didn't want to experience something the exact same because I needed something just completely different. I needed something different so I could grow more, not even just to like be overall happy and healthy, just like for my personal growth. And I just didn't feel like I was called to be there, even though I had such a great time on my visit. And I love the coaches and love all the girls there. And I still say hi to them now when I see them
Mhm.
around, really, which I think is like super cool. Like they're all great. But me and my family, we were on a family trip to Vegas because my grandma lives there. And my dad was like, I think we just need like a little vacation, like by the pool and like to go shopping. And we were talking about like being in the portal and how I was so discouraged that I wasn't going to find a home anywhere. Weeks prior, when I also applied to Denver, my dad was like, you should apply to UCLA. And I told him no because there was no shot I was getting to the school. I was like, they have like, what, an 8% acceptance rate at the time?
Yeah.
I was like,
Uh-huh.
I'm not getting in.
Yeah.
UCLA, like, that's impossible. And he was like, just try it. Like, you literally never know. And he told me this because when I was a kid, I went to UCLA camp when I was like 7 years old. And that was where I wanted to go my whole life. And then when I got older, realized that my grades weren't going to be good enough. And everyone on the team was like a world champion or an Olympian. So I was
Right.
like, okay, like that's kind of like a stretch. We got to figure out other options. And then ended up going to Kentucky. And that's where I was called to be. So UCLA just like since I went to Kentucky just never really crossed my mind and then came back again when I was in the portal and I tried to convince myself that I absolutely did not want to go there because I wanted to stay close to my Kentucky friends and I didn't want to move back home because I was like why would I want to
Yeah.
move back across the country like nobody wants to do that. But anyway, my dad encourages me to apply to UCLA just to see what would happen. And he was like, and if you get in, like you could always reach out to the coaches and let them know your situation. Like you were in the portal, you do gymnastics, and you still have that fire inside of you. And I was like, okay, like I'll apply, see what happens. So the only schools that I applied to are Denver and UCLA. And me and Janelle, because I had emailed her talking about how I was going to apply to the school and was in the portal and had like a few conversations here and there, but she was also busy with other people transferring from the team and she was going to the Olympics and some other international meet that year. So she's like not even in the country. So I'm
Right.
like, okay, like, why would this woman even bat an eye at me? Like, she- she's so busy right now. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, like, I'm gonna keep sending her videos and keep bothering her just to see what happens because that's what you do when you're getting recruited.
Right.
But she doesn't answer me like she's busy. She still has a job to do. But when we were in Vegas, I was literally telling my parents, like, there's no way I'm getting into UCLA. Like, I'm gonna have to settle going to Denver, even though I don't want to go there because I had already gotten into the school before going on this trip with my parents. And they were telling me, like, you don't absolutely have to settle. And I was also not really motivated to go there because I was like, my parents can't even afford me to go there. I didn't have a scholarship there. I was going to be a walk on. And I was like, I should have just stayed at Kentucky then if it was going to be the exact same. And I didn't want my parents paying for my 5th year when, like, I didn't have to take a 5th year or didn't have to go to grad school. Like, I could have just gotten a job like everyone else who graduates college. So I was like, I feel bad. Like, my parents are going to have to pay like $70K for me to go to this school that I
Right.
didn't even want to like 100% want to go to. Like, I was a little bit like questionable about my decision. But we're sitting at the pool and I get this email from the UCLA grad program that I had applied to. And this is right after I'm telling my parents I'm not going. They were getting upset because I was lacking faith and was
Yeah, and being negative.
they're like, you're so negative. And I was like, yeah, you're right, but it's true. But glad that it worked out now. But I get this email from the grad program saying, like, congratulations, like, you got into the program, see you in the fall. And I was like, that was like, this can't be real. And I went to my dad. I said, hey, like, is this real? And he was like, why would it not be real? And I was like, I don't know. There's like AI and stuff these days.
Right.
Like, you never
It could
know.
be a
So
scam.
I was like, you never know. Like, I don't trust people. But he was like, yes, it's real. Like, you literally just got into UCLA. And I remember just like tears. I was crying. And I called my best friend and I was like, dude, I just got into UCLA. And she was like, well, how are you not going to go to UCLA when you just got in? That's been your dream your whole life. And who the heck gets into UCLA? Like,
Right.
you go. And also, I would get in-state tuition. So all the things that I was worried about, like not having a chance to like afford college or like not having a chance to go to grad school or like gymnastics and everything, it was like God had heard my prayers and was like, I'm going to answer everything right now, like bam, 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 all at once.
Oh,
And it was
that's
like,
amazing.
I was like, just like completely in shock and sobbing because I had just got into my dream school since I was little. And I think I even emailed the head of the program back and said, is this real? Because I
That's
just wanted to like
hilarious.
make sure. And she was like, yep, see you in the fall. And I was like,
Oh my
no
gosh.
way. But then my dad was like, you need to reach out to Janelle right now and let her know you got into the school and you do still want to do gymnastics. Because at this time I am still practicing and trying to get recruited and everything. And I'm still sending her videos. And she gets back to me like a few days later. I think she was literally still out of the country at this point. But she gets back to me a few days later when she's back from her trip and she was like, hey, like, if you're in town, you can come meet me in my office on this day and we can like talk about this 5th year thing that you want to do. And I was
Wow.
like, oh my gosh, like, this is insane. Like, she's literally telling me to come meet in her office. And I was in town literally looking at apartments with my dad the day before and ended up finding an apartment and moving in not even that long later. I think it was like literally a few days later.
Wow.
And since I was already there, I was like, okay, I'm going to go meet with her. And she was telling me, hey, like, I've seen your videos. You look really great. We would love to have you on this team. And
Oh.
we went through like a lot of conversations just to like figure out what I was doing and everything and to make sure that I could fit in with the team well because I had never met any of them yet.
Right.
Really thankful that she took a chance on me when I bothered her for so many weeks. Even when I felt doubtful, I trusted that God still had a plan, whether gymnastics was in my future or not. And even when I got worried, he was like, it's okay, my child. Like, I
Yeah.
have it all under control. You just need to be patient. And that was the time when I learned that having faith, even when it sounds absolutely insane or when you feel like you're literally absolutely done, even if you have, he says, have a mustard seed of faith. And it really just takes that little bit and he can do something with that, even if it takes a few months or a few weeks or a few years or whatever it is. He's going to answer your prayers as long as you have a little bit of faith.
Yeah. Wow, that is so cool. I love that we just got to dive into that and hear that part of your story. You said you got baptized your 4th year at Kentucky.
Yes.
So you got baptized. It's the best day of your life. Your faith is growing while at the same time you're struggling still with this other part of your life. And it's so cool how your faith really did like carry you through that process. Like it allowed you to be like, okay, if I'm done with gymnastics, I'm done. But if I get to do it, I get to do it. And then entering the portal, you're like, oh my gosh, wait, God is actually showing me that I really do love it and I really do want to do it. And even in that moment of like, I don't know if it's going to work out, all the stars aren't aligning with this school, but I don't really know if there's another option. Like he was working that entire time just to literally answer your prayers. And was there a moment where you realized I'm going to UCLA for grad school and I'm going to be on the UCLA gymnastics team? What was that feeling like?
It was actually when I got the email saying that I got into the school, I was like, "Well, what am I gonna do? Not go there?" And I was like, "The coach knows that I exist, so I'm gonna be on the team." Like, I didn't really have, like, a doubt in my mind about it, and again, I was like, "If she lets me on the team, then amazing. If she doesn't, then I'll just go to UCLA and be a student. Like, it's not that big of a deal." I still am living out a dream that I've had since I was a kid, and that's enough for me.
Mhm.
Not a lot of people get the chance to go to UCLA, so I was like, "I have to go."
Right.
But it was when I got the email, I was like, "I'm gonna be on the UCLA gymnastics team, like, I'm gonna attend UCLA, I'm gonna get a degree from there, and I'm gonna do everything that I said that I wanted to do as a kid." Like, 8-year-old me would literally be fangirling over myself
Aw.
if she saw me right
Yeah.
now. I think that's, like, the coolest thing ever, and I tell that to my coaches all the time when they ask me literally anything gymnastics related. This is everything that I've ever wanted as a kid, like, whatever happens here, I'm just grateful that it happened.
Right. That's amazing. Okay, so before we got on the podcast, you were kind of telling me about a story where you were at NCAA's, you were not supposed to compete, and then you ended up getting to compete. I don't want to like share too much of it because I want to hear it from you. But that story is so cool. So I would love for you to tell the Being Boldly listeners what that was like.
So, we're at practice before NCAAs, and we have an inner squad just to, like,
And
have,
is
like, a
this last year?
Yeah, this is last year in my 5th
Okay.
year.
Like the most, okay,
So,
your 5th year.
at practice, I'm like, "Okay, like, this is my last practice ever," and doing every single routine, like, all the seniors are like, "Okay, like, last beam routine ever,
Right.
ever," and that's how I was like, "Okay, like, at this inner squad, I'm just gonna put it all out there, and I'm not even gonna worry about it. This is literally the last time I'm gonna be doing any of these skills," and I had literally the best inner squad of my life that day.
Aw.
Then I was like, "Okay, like, that's a great way to end it, like, let's go try to win a national championship right now," and we're there, and the whole year, I wasn't, like, not being considered for lineups, but I wasn't, like, really an alternate for any event. It would just be, like, I warm up the events, and that was it, but I wouldn't warm up, like, with the lineup. Like, I would warm up, like,
Okay.
separately
You
from
would
them.
train, like, outside of it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's what it was like the whole year, so I was like, "Okay, we're gonna get there, and I'm just gonna enjoy my last few days with this team, like, my last few moments as a gymnast," and that's kinda just where my brain was the whole time, like, completely was like, "I'm not doing gymnastics at all this week because we have such a strong lineup on every single event right now, and that's who we need to put up because that's
Right.
who I trust and who everybody else trusts."
Mhm.
And we're at Elite 8, and one of my teammates who is the alternate for beam, she gets hurt on vault, which was awful. She went down and we were all like, "This is horrible." she ended up being okay, but
Yeah, but in the
it was
moment, it was
horrible.
like, "Oh my
And
gosh." Yeah.
all I was thinking about was like, oh my gosh, like this is bad. Like we kind of need her. And that's all we were thinking about in the moment. And nothing else crossed my mind was still like, well, like who the heck is gonna like go in for this event for her or like be the alternate for beam for her. And then my coach, the beam coach, Lacey, pulls me aside. She was like, Clay, I need you to be my alternate for beam. And I was like, me? Like, and she was like, yep, I need you to just warm up with the lineup. And if anything happens, then you'll compete. Hopefully, nothing happens, but you'll be warming up today. And at practice the day before, I did absolutely nothing except cheer on my teammates
Right.
and didn't touch any of the equipment because I didn't have a reason to. So I was just like, okay, like, let me come out of retirement real quick.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I was like, I'm already retired. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just here to enjoy the week with my teammates and have a good last few moments as a gymnast. And not in my prayer journal, I actually wrote this on like a little sticky note. I actually found this later in the year of last year. So in December after my 5th year, I found this when I was like going through all the prayers that I prayed in 2025 just to see which ones God has answered and which ones I still need to be praying about. And the prayer said, Lord, thank you for this week with my teammates. I just want to enjoy this last week of gymnastics. And I know that a 6th year is a possibility. And if that's in your will that I take it, then I'll take the 6th year. But if not, I'm completely content with my career. And I'm just thankful that you led me here.
Right.
I also said, I pray that one day I'll get to flip again. But if this is the last time, then this is the last time. And that was in your will. And that's okay with me. And when my coach told me to go warm up on the beam, which I honestly, as much as I really did want to compete, thank goodness I didn't because I was going to be like pooping my pants
Oh my
and
gosh.
I had to compete. And I remember my dad was up there too. He was like, I saw you got on the beam and I was like gonna throw up. And I was like, no, because
Oh my
literally
gosh.
because I just didn't expect it. And I didn't realize in the moment because I was so locked into being like, I need to have a good warm up just to like make sure the team is like still connected and like,
Yeah, and keep the energy up
yeah,
and
like I was like, well, I don't want to do
momentum going.
bad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until after the week of nationals that I remembered that I had prayed that. And that was when I was like, I'm going to be done with gymnastics. Like I ended my career on a good note. And after that first day, I got to do gymnastics again the second day also since we qualified for the second day. And I was like, this is more than what I ever asked God for. Like, this is crazy. But after that, I was like, okay, like my career is complete. Like, He answered my prayer and said, I got to flip again. He let me flip twice.
Oh.
So I was like, that's a great way to end my career. That's all. Like, I'm not a
Right.
gymnast
Like,
anymore.
close the
Yeah,
chapter.
I was like, I'm completely content with that. And
Mhm.
I was also like, literally anyone would want to be in my shoes right now, like be a national runner up. That's like the best way, one of the best ways to end your gymnastics career. So I was like, okay, like cool, like I'm done. That's a great way to end it. I had an amazing time with my teammates, and this is a moment that I'll never forget. And
Mhm.
I didn't think about gymnastics for 4 months after that. And the whole time I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm not coming back. And then he led me back randomly one day when I was at a job interview because I was trying to be a normal human after they
Right. You're
graduated.
like, "Okay, that chapter closed. I'm,
Yeah, I was like,
starting a new chapter now."
I was like, cool, like I'm done with gymnastics. Now it's time to go find a job like everyone says you're supposed to do after college. And didn't stretch, didn't think about gymnastics or anything. I was just like, I'm gonna go about my life and grow up and be an adult. And also, all of my other friends who were my age had also just finished their 4th or 5th years and were also finding a job. So I was like, okay, like that's my time too. This is just
Right.
a stage of life that everyone's going through right now. So I'm going through all these job interviews, not getting any jobs. And there was one day I was at a job interview at a gym because I was like, okay, like if I can't find a job that I truly, truly love right now, like I'll just get like a small job until I figure out what I really like because I need something to pay rent
Right.
and bills, whatever. But I'm at this job interview at this gym, and it was like, again, this like voice in my head saying, you need to go back. But it was not my voice at all. And I knew it wasn't because it didn't even sound like me. And it wasn't something I had ever thought of before. And here and there, Janelle, our head coach, would like bring it up like, hey, like if you don't get a job, you can just come back for a 6th year. And I would be like, no, I'm not
You're
coming
like,
back.
haha, you're funny.
I was like, that's enough. I'm done with gymnastics. And like,
Yeah.
he would say it in like one of those like joking ways, but like if you want to come back, like you can. But I was not joking. I was like, I'm not coming back. Like 6 years is a lot of years, 5 years is enough. But after that, I was like, no more gymnastics, obviously. But I'm at this job interview and I hear this voice saying, like, go back. And I was like, what? Like, who said that? Like, must have been the wind. But
Yeah.
the whole time I'm there, it's like through my head is just like this voice telling me, like, you need to go back. Like, it's going to work out. Like, just do it. Just like take your chance. And I thought it was the strangest thing. And the job interview went well. I ended up getting the job and they were all super nice. But all I could think of when I was going home was like, why was I just told to go back to gymnastics when I don't want to? And I texted my parents after saying, hey, like the job interview went well, but like, remember when we talked about like doing a 6th year? And they were like, yeah, like, what about it? And I was like, I don't know. Like, should I text Janelle and like ask her a little bit about that just to like explore more options? And they were like, do you want to go back? And I was like, I don't really know. Like, it's just like this weird feeling in me where I have no idea if I want to go find a job and grow up like everybody else or if I'm being called to go back.
Right.
And they were like, just reach out to her and have a conversation with her. I don't see why that's a problem. And I'm thankful that I have really supportive parents to let me do that because there's not a lot of parents that would let you do that, especially
Yeah.
with so many years of gymnastics, because like it's crazy.
Yeah.
And then I texted Janelle and she was like, I was like, hey, like, you know how like we've kind of joked about me doing a 6th year, like, is that a true possibility? And she was like, yeah, like I already checked for you. You do have another year of eligibility. And I was like, okay, like, can I come to your office and can we like talk about that a little bit? And I was still like, I don't want to go back. I just want to see what else I
Yeah.
have for
You were like, I just need to see this through because I'm
Yeah.
confused.
I was like, I just need like something to help me think about it. And she was like, oh yeah, like you can meet me in my office at this day on this time. And we talked about it for like 2 hours. And the whole time she's telling me like, I think it would be great if you come back because we have a young team right now and you've been in college for years and years and years. So you can like use your experience and your joy to just bring up these freshmen that are new to college gymnastics. And she was saying just a ton of things that were like just really helping me like want to come back and helping me feel like super valued. And it wasn't something that I
Right.
really like felt before. I was like, wait, like this is a coach that truly loves me. Maybe I do want to go back. And I called my dad after and I was like, hey, like Janelle said she wants me back. And he was like, wait, like that's awesome. And he was like, but do you want to go back? And I was like, I think I do, but I don't really know. Like I still need to think about it. And I thought about it for like about a week and it was like I was completely trying to go against what God was saying and trying to be like, okay, so like there's no point of me going back. If I am going to go back, it's going to be the same outcome as other years. Like I'm going to struggle and I'm going to go back to a sport that's broke my heart so many times.
Mhm.
And I was like, why would I want to go back if this sport has hurt me? And I wasn't really like understanding why I was being called back because it got to a point where I couldn't deny that it was God telling me to go back. I just couldn't understand why. And I was trying to put it all in my control and be like, no, I need to go find a job. And he's over here like, well, girl, these job interviews aren't working. And I'm telling you to go back.
He's
Maybe you
like,
should
I'm
just
not
go
giving you the jobs for a reason. I'm trying to get you to turn around.
He's like, these interviews went well and you're still not getting the job, so maybe you do need to go back. And I was like, I just don't understand why though. And there was just one day it kind of like clicked where I was like, I need to stop denying what God is telling me, and I just need to listen and trust that He has a plan for me in this 6th year, whether I want to take it or not. And I called my parents and I said, I'm going to call Janelle today and tell her I'm coming back for a 6th year. And they got really excited about it. So then I got really excited about it. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm nervous to tell her. And I called her and she was in Seattle visiting family. And we were, like, on the phone just, like, crying about it, and she was like, "Oh my gosh, like, I'm so excited," and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe this is real," and it felt like a prayer that had been answered, but not a prayer that I had, like, recently thought about, a prayer from a long time ago that I thought I wanted before and then ended up not wanting anymore, but then deep down inside, that's exactly what I wanted. That's just not what I thought was in my future.
Right.
So one of those
In
things
your
again.
worldly view, it wasn't like
Yeah, I was like,
that
"This
was
isn't even, like, a
possible.
possibility."
Mhm.
So, now I'm in my 6th year, and I'm glad that I'm here. I went back to gymnastics, and I was like, "This is gonna be like, the training's gonna be so hard, it's gonna be horrible," but I
Right,
literally.
'cause you took 4 months off
Yeah, and I was
of,
like I didn't
like
even think about gymnastics. I was working out, like,
wow.
normal, but it had nothing to
Yeah,
do with gymnastics training,
right, it
and
was just, like, to keep moving your
yeah,
body.
it was just like, "Oh,
Yeah,
like, I enjoy working out, like, I'm gonna do what I
yeah,
feel like doing," and just, like, enjoying time with all of my friends. So then this crazy thing happens to me, and I'm like, "Wait, like, I need to get back to training." And I had never been more sore in my life, like, my
I
first
bet.
month of coming back, but it was, like, the happiest that I have ever been, and I was like, "Wait, this is exactly what I needed," and God literally was calling me to do this thing because it was going to make me happier, and I was gonna be able to keep using this platform that I have through sports to spread His light, and that's literally what He was telling me to do, and even though the whole time I was like, "Why would I go back to a sport that's broken my heart so many times?" Or when I haven't, like, had the opportunity to compete a lot, it was like He was reminding me that I told myself before coming to UCLA that I was gonna take every opportunity that I got here and not take advantage of it, and He was like, "This is what you need to do now, like, this is the biggest opportunity you're gonna get, and you need to take it."
That is so cool, and okay, one thing I have to point out is that God didn't bring you back to UCLA Gymnastics because UCLA Gymnastics needed your gymnastics, right?
No,
Like,
not at
He
all.
didn't bring you back because they needed your flips. Of course, you're an incredible gymnast, you're at UCLA, but that wasn't the reason that you need to be on the team that you're on right now, and I love how that was kind of, like, hinted at through the conversation that you had with Janelle when she was saying, like, "We have a young team, like, you can help these freshmen," and it wasn't, "You can help them gymnastics-wise," that's not what it was, it's that
Right,
you can help them with their energy, you can help them with the transition from, high school to college, you can help them enjoy their experience, you can help them find joy in whatever position they're in. Because being a freshman, it's hard. A lot of
right,
freshmen don't make lineups and or they're kind of, like, iffy, and God was like, "No, I need Carissa to be on this team again because she still has an important role here, and it's not because she can do amazing flips. While, yes, she can, and I'm still gonna let her do this thing that she loves, that's not why he needs
right,
you there." And I think
right,
that's so important to point out, and it goes back to what we were talking about before of just being so much bigger than your flips
right,
and understanding that, your experience is so much bigger than that. And I think it's so cool because you don't even know what kind of seeds you're planting being a 6th year and a role model and an example on the team now for the girls that are younger. But that is going to reveal itself like in the next couple months or years, even. And you're going to have a moment where you're like, oh, God was totally using me there, and
right,
I'm so glad that I stayed obedient to his will and to what he was calling me to, even when I was, like, so confused and didn't even know if I really wanted to flip anymore.
right.
Carissa, this has been an amazing episode so far. You have shared some amazing stories, but I just want to wrap up with a final piece of advice that you would give to a younger gymnast who is trying to navigate their sport and their faith.
I tell a younger gymnast, because this is what I needed to hear as an incoming college athlete, is that you have a role and you have value on the team no matter what your role is, whether you're competing or not. You can still shine a light either way. And a lot of people will tell you, like, you only have value on the team if you're making lineups every week, if you're scoring 10.0s every week, when that's just not true. You can make an impact far beyond that, even if it's just like supporting your teammates, like cheering them on, getting them ice packs, whatever it is. You have a role.
Right. I love that. And it's so true because, I mean, in college gymnastics, at a meet, like only 6 girls get to go on each event.
Right.
So,
And there's like
and
20 girls on the team.
right. And it's definitely very easy to get into the mindset when you're not in lineup of like, oh, why am I even here? What am I even doing here? And it's so encouraging to hear you say that because I hope it's just a reminder to those younger gymnasts that might feel that you are there for more than just your gymnastics. You are there for your teammates. It's the everyday spreading positivity and spreading love that shines Jesus's light. It's not just that one time you get on the beam and get a 10. Yes, of course, that's awesome, and I hope that you take all of that and
Right.
glorify him with it. That's incredible, but there's so much in the everyday and in the behind the scenes stuff where you can be shining his light, so you don't have to be at the top of the leaderboard 24/7.
Right. And like, God didn't call us to go win national championship rings or win trophies or
Amen to that.
whatever these like worldly accolades are. He just called us to love him and glorify him with everything that he's given us. Like, he could take all those things away and you'd still be 100% complete. And also, you can't take any of those things to heaven. You can only take
Wow,
you
that's
can
so
only
good.
take
You can't take any of those things to
Mhm.
heaven. That is so true. Such a good reminder. Thank you so much for coming on, Carissa. This has been an amazing episode.
Thank you so much. I had fun.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode of Beam Boldly. I hope that you will subscribe and like and just continue to follow along this journey with me. Bye, you guys.